Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Linda Mataji.
Good evening.
Good evening. I received the check that you sent and I gave it to the temple.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate, having those set of books in my library.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. This
Hare
is
Krishna.
Govardhan Lila. I'm going to mute the phone because I'm going to be making a little bit of noise, okay? But I'm here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So since we are here, should we get started? Linda Mataji, maybe you could read today, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I will say the prayers and then we'll get started. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naistiki. So, Mataji, we can get started, and Linda Mataji, you can read. The only difficulty is that my phone has very little battery, so I hope it doesn't die on me. If it does, I will call you back from a different phone, my husband's phone or someone else's phone. So, you can just tell everybody else who joins late that in case my phone dies, I will call them back. Okay?
Okay.
So, Linda Mataji, would you like to read? We are today we are supposed to cover from 47 through 51. So all of the verses till the end of the chapter. So
what canto is that?
This is second canto, chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
Text 47 through 51. Okay. So maybe you can read as you go along. Maybe you can read each verse, and I can say something about the verse, and then we'll read the next verse, and then I can say something about the verse. Because they have a continuation, but it's slightly different. Each verse is slightly different. Okay. So, Linda Mataji, are you ready with your book?
1 second. 7. 7. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Wow. 46 and 47. Where is 47? I don't. Oh, here we are. Okay. Do you want me to try to pronounce the Sanskrit here?
Just do your best. It should be fine.
Trimanam, measure. Ka, also. Palasya, of time. Kapa, a day of. Brahma, Lakshana, symptoms. Vigraham, form. Yasa, as much as. Kruasat, hereafter. Yeah, art has. Oh, this is a hard one. Yeah, art ha nayasi shall be explained. Hadam, by the name. Parma, kalpam, the duration of day. Asa, aso, those. O king, I shall do in course explain the measurement of time and its gross subtle features with specific symptoms of each. But for the present, let me explain unto you Parma, Kappa. The present duration of Kappa is Brahma, is called oh boy. Are you cooking, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, I can hear you. You can continue reading the translation and the purport. Okay?
Okay. O king, I shall do in due course explain the measurement of time and its growth and subtle features with the oh boy, I can't pronounce these words here. Specific symptoms of each. But for the present, let me explain unto you the Padma Kappa. The present duration of Kappa of Brahma is called Vigraha Kappa or I can't pronounce this word. It's Svetavarha. How do you pronounce that? Sitavara Kappa. Because the incarnation of the Lord as Vagra took place during the creation of Brahma, who was born on the lotus coming out of the abdomen of Vishnu. Therefore, this Kappa is called Padma Kappa, and this is testified by the archaists like Jiva Goswami, as well as Vishnartha Kavarti Durga in precedence of the first commentator, Shiva Siddhartha. There is no contradiction between Vartha and Padma Kappa or Brahma. There's a lot of Sanskrit words in here that I'm having a really hard time pronouncing.
That's fine, Mataji. You did a fine, good job. So,
no, that was the text, the translation. It's pretty short.
Yes. So actually, is there anybody else on the call?
I'm there, Mataji.
Rishali Mataji. Who else is on the call?
I'm here, Mataji.
Who is that?
Shanti here.
Shanti Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, I'm here.
Okay. So who attended Primarasa's class yesterday among all of you? Were all of you there?
No, Mataji, I could not attend yesterday's class.
Okay.
I'm there on the call also today.
Okay, that's fine. But I have a few questions, okay? Because this verse is connected to yesterday's verse. Okay? So, there were 3 measurements of time that were explained yesterday. Does anybody remember? Maybe let me make it a little easier, okay? What is a kalpa?
Is kalpa time?
Duration.
So Premarasa explained what a kalpa was yesterday. Does anybody remember what she explained? Okay, forget about the kalpa. Do you remember anything from yesterday's class? What do you guys remember? Any point from yesterday's class? I don't think there was a lot of devotees yesterday. Okay, okay.
Mataji, you were there. You read the purport, right?
Yeah, I read the purport here.
Yeah.
Okay. So there were, let me give you hints, okay? So kalpa is the duration of time. So what is one kalpa? So we read, let me give you more hints, okay? We read that Lord Brahma has a long duration of life, and in each of his months, there are specific names for each month, each day of his month. Now, can somebody remember?
There's a full
Even more from what we discussed?
Brahmas are?
Huh?
Is that the one Kalpa, Nila Hita Kalpa? Is that the one?
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes. So each kalpa
This is
one day of
this is
Brahma.
Brahma's one day.
Yes. Very nice, Shanti Mataji. Yeah. A kalpa is Brahma's one day. Very nice. So the other aspect that we are talking about is there were another, we talked about creation. We talked about the three different divisions of creation. Does anybody remember what is the name of the three different types of creation? Or like the name is a Sanskrit term, maybe it's too difficult, but maybe like you can say something about what happens, what is the process of creation.
Yeah, I'll tell the names. It's Mahakalpa, Vikalpa, and Kalpa.
Yes, very nice. And what happens in Mahakalpa, Kalpa, and Vikalpa?
Okay, so Mahakalpa is when Vishnu glances on the Pradhan and all the elements come from it, or I don't know, disintegrate to form the 16 elements and the 5 gross elements. Then Vikalpa is when Brahma's day starts and Brahma starts the creation, and Kalpa is each day of Brahma when there is a partial devastation and then the creation, the next day it starts off. So.
Yeah, very nice, Prime Minister. Thank you very much for sharing. Very nice. So, if actually there are actually two meanings of kalpa that were discussed in the purport. It's a little technical, but the two meanings of kalpa are each day of Brahma, that is also called one kalpa. And when Brahma creates the universe, he starts creating his part of the universe. I mean, his part of creation. He starts manifesting his part of creation. That is also called kalpa. Okay? Is that good? Is that fine?
Could you say that again, the last one that you just said?
I said the word kalpa has two meanings. Based on yesterday's words, the word kalpa has two meanings. The first meaning is, it is each day of Brahma is called a kalpa.
Each day of Brahma
is called kalpa.
Okay.
And the other meaning of kalpa is, during the process of creation, when Brahma starts creating the universe and the other ingredients for manifesting the living entities, etc., etc., that's also called kalpa.
During the creation. Okay.
Okay.
Two meanings. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And during the process of creation, there are 3 steps. First is Mahakalpa, when Mahavishnu breathes and the universes come out of his pores. and he glances over material nature. The second part is when Vishnu is lying in the causal ocean, and from the stem of the lotus flower, Lord Brahma is born. That's Vikalpa. So there are 3 stages of creation, and they have specific names. They are basically duration of time. First is Mahakalpa, second is Vikalpa, third is Kalpa. Okay? So this is what we read yesterday. And Vimarasa gave a very beautiful class. She explained about how creation happens and what are the planets that are destroyed at the end of Brahma's day, and the journey of Gopakumar. Anything else anybody would like to share in addition to what I shared based on yesterday's class? I think that's a good summary for what we are going to read today. Okay, so in this purport that Linda Mataji just read, it's very technical because there are terms which we all do not fully understand. So there is description of Varaha Kalpa, Padma Kalpa, Shweta Varaha Kalpa. So I went back and heard Maharaj's class, Romapad Maharaj's class, and he gives the explanation that the Acharyas have explained that there is something called as Raktavaraha Kalpa, Shvetavaraha Kalpa, and Padma Kalpa. And according to the Acharyas, there is no difference between Shvetavaraha Kalpa and Padma Kalpa. So now it's we do not know what is the exact meaning of all these things. But Varaha Kalpa is the period of time when Lord Varahadev descends. So that's why it's called Varaha Kalpa. And there are 2 types of Varahas who descend, and they have slightly different pastimes. That's why it has 2 names, Shweta Varaha Kalpa and Rakta Varaha Kalpa. So this is just for our this is more detail than what we normally understand. But that's about it from this purport. So Linda Mataji, would you like to continue reading like one more verse? The next verse?
Oh, you mean?
You just read 47, 48. Like to read 48?
Oh, yes, I'll read. Sure. Sukha Yubarka Yad Arha No Badvar Sutta Kasata Badva Tomara Kara Tursani Arni Misa Shikartava Buddham Siddhastyam. Translation. Sukha Rish, after hearing about the creation, inquired from Sutta Goswami about Vidra. From Sutta Goswami had previously informed him how Vidra's left home, leaving aside all his relatives who were very difficult to leave. Translation. Sukhankari said, let us know, please, what topics were discussed between Vidra and Maitreya, who talked about transcendental subjects, and what was inquired by Vidra and replied by Maitreya. Also, please let us know the reason for Vidra's giving up the connection of his family members and why he came home. Please also let us know the activities of Vidra while he was in the place of pilgrims. Sri Sutra Goswami was narrating the topic of the creation and the destruction of the material world, but it appears that the rishis, headed by Sanaka, were more inclined to hear the transcendental subjects, which are on a higher level than the physical. There are two classes of men, namely those addicted to the gross body and the material world, and others on the higher level. Oh, funny. Who are interested more in transcendental knowledge. The Sermon Bhagavatam gives faculty to everyone, both to the materialist and to the transcendentalist. By hearing the Sermon Bhagavatam in a matter of the Lord's glorious activities, both in the material world and the transcendental world, men can derive equal benefits. The materialists are more interested in physical law, and they are acting as they see wonders in those material glamours. Sometimes due to physical glamours, they forget the glories of the Lord. They should know definitely that the physical activities and the wonders are initiated by the Lord. The rose in the garden gradually takes its shape and color to become beautiful and sweet, not by the blind physical laws, although it appears that way, like that. Behind the physical law is the direction of the complete consciousness of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, things cannot take shape so symptomatically. The artist draws a picture of a rose very nicely with all attention and artistic sense, and yet it does not become as perfect as a real rose. If that is the real fact, how can we say that the real rose has taken its shape without intelligence behind that beauty? This sort of conclusion is due to a poor fund of knowledge. One must know from the above description of creation and annihilation that the Supreme Consciousness, being omnipresent, can take care of everything with perfect attention. This is a fact of the omnipresence of the Supreme Lord persons. Still more foolish than the gross materialists, however, claim to be transcendentalists and claim to have such supreme, all-pervading consciousness, but offer no proof. Such foolish persons cannot know what is going on behind the next wall, yet they are foolishly proud of possessing the cosmic all-pervading consciousness of the Supreme Person. For them also, hearing the Sermon Bhagavatam is a great help. It will open their eyes to see that simply by claiming Supreme Consciousness, one does not become supremely conscious. One has to prove in the physical world that he has such supreme consciousness. The rishis of Namisaryan, however, were above the gross materialist and the false transcendentalist, and they were always anxious to know the real truth in transcendental matters, as discussed by authorities. Wow. That was a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay,
Thank you very much
yes.
for reading.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So
Wow.
by reading that, like, how did you feel? Like,
Mm. Well, there's two classes of men that have their consciousness mainly, in the gross body. They're not giving, the Lord His glory that's deserved. They're taking on. They're taking. They're saying that they're responsible for the Lord's transcendental qualities, when it's actually the Lord that's responsible. And it says the artist draws a picture of a rose very nicely with attention to artistic sense, yet it does not become perfect as a real rose. It is a real fact, however, that we can say the real rose has taken its shape without intelligence behind the beauty. And that concludes that. Basically, that's what it's saying. And that, the glamours of this world blind us from the real beauty, because we're so enamored with the physical that we don't pay attention to the omnipresence of the Supreme Lord. Is that correct? Am I correct?
yes, Mataji. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So, this is a very common argument, especially if we have any form of a science background. So what happens is that there is always this kind of difference of opinions between people who believe that science is everything and people who believe that there is actually an intelligent creator behind this whole cosmic manifestation. So one of the things that Prabhupada says is, why is there so much detail in Srimad Bhagavatam? What would we
Mataji, I can't understand you. Mataji, I can't hear you very well at all. I'm so sorry.
I think your phone might be going out because you're real muffled.
Me?
No.
I think Lila Manjari, yes, that's what I thought was happening. Oh, she probably has to call again, like she said.
Okay, let's try one more time. I'm very close to the phone. If it doesn't work, we will figure out something else, okay? Can you hear me, Moses?
Yes, Mataji, I can hear you well now.
So I don't know what changed between now and then. But anyway, so what I was just trying to say is that there's always this conflict between people who believe in science and people who believe in an intelligent creator behind the creation. So here is Prabhupada's logical argument. He is just making this statement, but he is logical about it. Prabhupada used to often speak with scientists, and Prabhupada would often speak with scientists and other people. And many times scientists would hear what Prabhupada was saying, because Prabhupada didn't speak about anything blindly. He always spoke on the basis of reason and logic. And um, he would just ask scientists sometimes, and this, we have often heard it. If, he used to say, like, if you believe that science is everything, can you create a mosquito that goes up and down, sideways, and it can reproduce and produce children? We have all the ingredients, so can you do that? Sometimes Prabhupada would speak like that. But if people were reasonably logical, they would accept what Prabhupada had to say. Because no matter how advanced science is, at the core of it, they cannot produce a spirit source which gives life to matter. And but really, like, we need to have honest and open mind to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people are not willing to hear that, but I can tell, based on personal experience and based on the experience of others. But before we go into personal experience, I would like to share something. There is a very popular theory. Those of you who are interested in looking up, you can look up something called as intelligent design. So it is said, and it is accepted by many, that the DNA strand of each organism. Prabhupada is giving the example of a rose. He's saying that the artist can draw a beautiful rose, but the rose does not have all the beauty that the real rose has. If the artist can draw a rose, but that rose will not have the fragrance. That rose will not grow, in size and take different forms. So really, there is a lot of artistry that we see around us. And we can simply deny and say, okay, there is no design, it just happened by chance. And that's some of the theories that are put forward. And but now there is a branch of people who are trying to establish that what is the probability? Because previously people used to say, it happened by chance. So what is the probability in nature that there is a beautiful rose, which has all these DNA strands, which has unique fragrance, which has, which grows from a small bud into a flower and into a fragrant rose and into different colors. So all these things are going on. So there is a branch of science which is saying that what is the probability, what is the likelihood that such an intelligent design can take place? And they did all the mathematical calculations to see, how the DNA strands are made and how all these things are happening. And the mathematical probability of something so complicated, so intricate in design is very, very low. So we are just talking about a rose. Now think of all the other things that we see around us in nature. And what is the probability that, all of these things could exist? And, so there are a group of scientists who who are experimenting, and they are saying, yes, that's good that, you guys believe that this is just a probability. This has just happened. But let's look at a different approach. Now let's propose look at this proposal, because the probability of your randomness is so less. Let us look at this proposal, which suggests that there could be an intelligent creator behind this design. And but when this proposals were made, it actually went into the courts. If this new proposal that is being made by certain people actually can go into books or not, into the textbooks. Why? Because constitutionally, United States cannot have the church and the state together. So it is against the Constitution of United States that they can say anything about God in schools. They cannot speak anything about God in schools. So that's why it has gone to the court, where the scientists are saying, these theists who believe in a creator are nicely wrapping it up and calling it as intelligent design, but actually they're talking about a creator. And these people are saying we never mentioned the name God. We are just saying there is probably an intelligence behind it, because the probability, if you do all the math, the probability that such intricate DNA with all the information in each DNA is more than the information the most advanced computer that exists can even hold. So the color of a person, the color of we were talking about the example of the color of the rose, the fragrance of the rose, how it blossoms from a bud into a flower, and then how it produces seeds and it can reproduce itself. Just that much information is more than the most advanced computer can hold. So these people are so far I don't think it has been accepted in the textbooks of the school and the curriculum, because it even talks about, it's even indicating the presence of God. Even that is not acceptable. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. But any sane person within their own experience can always feel that there has to be a creator with all the things that we see around us. But there are some people, which Prabhupada always talks about, it's one of his favorite topics in every purport we come across, who claim that they can be God. So Prabhupada is saying, if you claim that you're God, can you do all these things that God has done? So that's what we are reading about in this purport. And I want to share something. I don't know if we can get across all the verses, but I want to share something that has happened in my life. I have seen it with my own eyes. My uncle, he's a doctor. And whenever I used to speak about God and the process of devotional service, I think it will still continue, because he used to say, the best thing to do for humanity is to help human beings. Okay? Even you can do this chanting throughout the day, but who are you helping? So the best thing to do is to help humanity. And then my grandmother, who is his mother, was on the deathbed. He was sitting with me for lunch, and then he said, can you bring all the people together in your temple and ask them to pray that I never have to suffer a stroke in my life? It's the same person who said, the best thing we can do is to pray to humanity. So the same person is saying, can you bring all the people together in your temple so that they would pray that I would not die of a stroke. And then, when in the last days of my grandmother, when he and his colleague, so both of them are doctors, and my uncle's mother was dying, and his colleague's father was dying at the same time. He also was suffering from some terminal disease. So both of them came together, and they were shaking and nodding their heads in disapproval because there was nothing they could do to help their parents at that time. So the doctor was saying, like, we have studied all this, we know so much, but really there is nothing we can do because at that time, all the antibiotics, they stopped working. I saw this happen like with my father-in-law. I saw this happen with my grandmother. You can keep giving them antibiotics, but the body will stop reacting at some point of time. You can give the most advanced medicine, but still in the final days, the body doesn't react. So now Prabhupada used to say, okay, like if you go and say the same thing to the scientists will say, no, that's not true. Like, we are doing the experiments, we have proved so much. One day we will also conquer death. But Prabhupada used to argue and say, but that's like a post-dated check. Like, you go and buy groceries and you tell the shopkeeper, I won't pay you today, I'll pay you 10 years from now. Will the shopkeeper agree to your proposal? So, and Prabhupada was convinced, like, because as long as they don't talk about God, as long as they don't believe in the existence of the soul, their proposals of conquering death is just a dream. It's just a dream. They're like any sane man at some point of time in his life will have to bow down to a power that is greater than himself.
Yeah.
We see it every day, but we'll also experience it at some point. Like, it has to be an absolutely stubborn person who denies the existence of a power higher than himself and even higher than science. So Prabhupada is trying to establish this in a logical fashion in his purports to Srimad Bhagavatam and other books. So that's what I wanted to say about this. So should we keep going and try to finish the remaining purports, or should we stop here briefly to talk about comments?
We should continue, Mataji, because there's just a little bit left, really.
Okay.
We're at the end of the second canto. I think if everyone else agrees, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at the time. Is it okay for everybody? Who's on the call?
Yes, Mataji.
Sure,
We can continue.
So Premarasa, is it okay for you?
Yes.
Okay. So Govardhan Lila Mataji, if you are in front of the book, would you like to read all the purports together, the remaining purports?
Okay, you mean
49,
starting
50,
from where?
51.
The purports.
49.
Okay.
No,
so,
you can read the translations and the Sanskrit also. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't know if I'll be good at this, but I'll try.
That's fine, Mataji.
Okay. Texts 49 and 50. Shatu koshavris tasya samvado dyatmasam shrita yadvasa bhagavans tasmai prishitas tatvam uvachaha bruhinas tad idam somya vidurasya vicheshititam bandutyaga nimittam cha yatevagavtavam van punaha. Translation. Shonaka Rishi said, let us know, please, what topics were discussed between Vidura and Maitreya, who talked on transcendental subjects, and what was inquired by Vidura and replied by Maitreya. Also, please let us know the reason for Vidura's giving up the connection of his family members and why he again came home. Oh, didn't we read this, Mataji?
No, keep going, Mataji.
Okay.
We didn't.
Okay. And why he again came home. Please also let us know the activities of Vidura while he was in the places of pilgrimage. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Shuta Goswami was narrating the topics of the creation and destruction of the material world, but it appears that the rishis, headed by Shaunaka, were more inclined to hear of transcendental subjects, which are on a higher level than the physical. There are two classes of men, namely those too addicted to the gross body and the material world, and others on the higher level who are interested more in transcendental knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam gives facility to everyone, both to the materialist and to the transcendentalist. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the matter of the Lord's glorious activities, both in the material world and in the transcendental world, men can derive equal benefit. The materialists are more interested in the physical laws and how they are acting, and they see wonders in those physical glamours. Sometimes, due to physical glamours, they forget the glories of the Lord. They should know definitely that physical activities and their wonders are all initiated by the Lord. The rose in the garden gradually takes its shape and color to become beautiful and sweet, not by a blind physical law, although it appears like that. Behind that physical law is the direction of the complete consciousness of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, things cannot take shape so systematically. The artist draws a picture of a rose very nicely, with all attention and artistic sense, and yet it does not become as perfect as the real rose. If that is the real fact, how can we say that the real rose has taken its shape without intelligence behind the beauty? This sort of conclusion is due to a poor fund of knowledge. One must know from the above description of creation and annihilation that the Supreme Consciousness, being omnipresent, can take care of everything with perfect attention. That is the fact of the omnipresence of the Supreme Lord. Persons still more foolish than the gross materialists, however, claim to be transcendentalists and claim to have such supreme, all-pervading consciousness, but offer no proof. Such foolish persons cannot know what is going on behind the next wall, yet they are falsely proud of possessing the cosmic, all-pervading consciousness of the Supreme Lord. For them also, hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is a great help. It will open their eyes to see that simply by claiming supreme consciousness, one does not become supremely conscious. One has to prove in the physical world that he has such supreme consciousness. The rishis of Naimisharanya, however, were above the gross materialists and the false transcendentalists, and thus they were always anxious to know the real truth in transcendental matters as discussed by authorities. And then the last text, 51. Sutta uvacha dagda parikshita prishito yad avokan maha munihi tadvo bidasye shrinuta ragya prashnanussarataha. Translation. Sri Shuta Goswami explained, I shall now explain to you the very subjects explained by the great sage in answer to King Parikshit's inquiries. Please hear them attentively. Any question that is put forward may be answered by quoting the authority, and that satisfies the saner section. That is the system, even in the law court. The best lawyer gives evidence from the past judgment of the court without taking much trouble to establish his case. This is called the parampara system, and learned authorities follow it without manufacturing rubbish interpretations. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam, from the Brahma Samhita 5.1. Let us all obey the Supreme Lord, whose hand is in everything without exception. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Bhagavatam is the Answer to All Questions. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Congratulations to everybody for studying these two cantos together.
Yeah. Very fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, you were right, Govardhan Lila Mataji. I didn't understand when you said, like, didn't we read this? Yeah, we actually read that.
Yeah, Linda Mataji had read it.
Yeah, but I was also referring to, does anybody remember where we read about Vidura before?
Well,
We read in the first canto.
I know. Sorry, I don't remember where it was.
And in what context?
I believe it has to do with the Dwarka. Didn't Vidura go to Vidura that goes on behalf of Krishna back to the gopis to talk with them?
That is Uddhav.
Uda, okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine, Mataji. Anyone else remembers anything about Vidura and what happened, in what context we read about him?
Mataji, is it Vidura met Maitreya Rishi and he asked him different questions? And I think
that's going to come up in Canto 3.
Oh.
It's true, there was like a slight mention of it, but we read about Vidura and how he instructed Dhritarashtra.
Yeah.
In the first canto, he goes to instruct his blind brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, like, get out of this place. After the war was finished, he goes back to the palace. Before that, he leaves the palace and he goes on a pilgrimage, and then he goes back home. But why does he go back home this time? Not to live there, but this time he goes back to instruct his blind brother Dhritarashtra. He tells him, my dear brother, now all your sons have been killed and you're literally living like a dog, eating the remnants of Bhima. So, and he instructs him in transcendental knowledge, and Dhritarashtra and his wife, Gandhari, without informing Maharaj Yudhishthira, they leave home. And Dhritarashtra, he attains, he performs severe yogic practices, and he delivers himself. He becomes liberated. So that was in Canto 1, Chapter 13, I think. So this is the context. So, and Shaunaka Muni, he is speaking with Sutta Goswami. That's where the conversation began, right? In the beginning of the first canto. So he heard all these things, all these stories about the Pandavas, about Maharaj Parikshit, about Vidura, about Dhritarashtra. But now he wants to hear more about all. So he's asking more questions. So in the first canto, Sutta Goswami had said, he had talked about Vidur, and he said he met Maitreya during the course of his pilgrimage and he came back home. So in that context, he's asking the question. He's saying, you told me that he met Maitreya. So now please tell me more about him. So one of the things that was mentioned again and again is that when studying scriptures or Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the qualifications of a person who's listening to Srimad Bhagavatam is that he's very eager to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. When he's very eager to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, the person who is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam becomes more eager to speak about the topics of the Lord. So Shaunaka Muni is a perfect example of a person who wants to hear. So in every context, he wants to know the best of everything. So he's asking about what Vidura learned from Maitreya and how he perfected his life. So that's all, Mataji. Any few comments, questions?
Mataji, I have a question.
Yes, Mataji.
Did Vidura meet Krishna before Krishna left this planet, and then Krishna instruct him to meet Maitreya? Or I'm wrong?
Krishna did not instruct him to meet Maitreya, but Vidura had met Krishna many times.
Uddhava instructed?
Uddhav also did not instruct. So now we are going ahead of ourselves. This is not explained before in Srimad Bhagavatam, but he meets Uddhav for a short period of time while Uddhav was talking to Maitreya. Now Uddhav immediately he leaves because he wants to honor Maitreya, who is actually Uddhav is a pure devotee of the Lord, and he is on a very elevated consciousness. But in age, he is younger to Maitreya. So he tells that Maitreya is going to instruct you, and Uddhav leaves. So you can hold on, Mataji. In third canto, we'll hear more.
Thank you, Mataji. I was just confused how Vidura met Maitreya. I was not understanding, not remembering that.
He went on a pilgrimage and he met Maitreya. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Anyone else would like to say something? Ruchi Mataji, are you there? Okay, I don't think she's joined today.
No, I'm there. I joined a little late at 5:30. Yeah. I could understand the class in bits and pieces because I joined late.
Okay, Mataji. That's fine. Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you for the nice class.
Thank you for the very nice class. I'm definitely happy that we finished the second canto. I'm looking forward to the third canto next week. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lila Manjari Mataji, for a very nice class. Very nice. And I, too, am looking forward to the third canto. My Guru Maharaj was mentioning that in the third canto, he said it's replete with examples of deity worship and the, how can I say, not the sanctification, the authorization of deity worship, etc., is greatly described in the third canto. Among other places, that's just one place, though, where he discusses it.
Thank you, Lila Manjari, for your very nice class. As always, as the other ones, I also look forward to the third canto.
I just wanted to ask Lila Manjari Mataji, some of the classes I didn't see were recorded because I was looking for something.
Yes, Mataji, I'm sorry, I'm behind. I will upload them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Yeah. If there is any specific class that you want to hear, like I will upload it first before the rest of them.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to hear some classes I missed. So.
Yeah. Actually,
Mataji, this question is I probably will answer it while I'm thinking of it, but I maybe not. You know, you were talking about some examples, and can a person who has, now I'm not saying they understand all about Krishna consciousness, but someone who has an idea of God, who's been brought up at least culturally with God, who's, you know, how can I say, you know, have been presented with God and said they believed in God. Once you have that imprint, is it possible to become a complete atheist once one has been introduced to God? I mean, not just, oh, this is God, but practiced, etc. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Are you asking in reference to a particular person or?
Well, I've known a few people who were supposedly very Christian, grew up that way, and then said they were totally convinced after living a little while that there was no God.
Yes, Mataji, now I understand better your question that you're asking. One of the things, you know, I can say it like this. I grew up with the culture of God. There was God in my family. My parents, both of them, they believe in God. But the idea of God that they presented to me was not very convincing. I used to go to the temple and, like, you know, do those things. When I came to the United States, I definitely didn't feel any presence of God for a long period of time. And, you know, because the material energy is too thick. And if in addition to that energy, if it is coupled with some bad experiences, for example, somebody who's very close to us, they pass away, or we are hurt by someone whom we trusted, if we have some bad experience, it compounds it. So, you know, bad experiences in life, like I have seen people who say, oh, because my grandmother died, I know that there is no God, he didn't listen to me. That kind of experience. And I have also seen, because of a lot of sinful activity, the mode of ignorance becomes very prominent. And when people are very thick with sinful life, like submerged in the mode of ignorance, it's very hard to believe that God exists. That's why people who don't believe in God, the first thing we tell them is please eat prasadam and please chant the holy name, because then they start building their sukriti. Their good sukriti is, whether we know it or we don't know it, we are performing some devotional activity. That's called sukriti. And as soon as we start like, you know, performing some devotional activity, then the cloud of the thickness of ignorance starts to dissipate slowly. So what you're saying is true. Like, you can grow up with the culture of God, but you may not feel God's presence in your life at all. And you might even deny the presence of God if we are performing sinful activities. And in addition to that, like, you know, we do not know how to process the setbacks that we are facing in life.
I always think that when people are brought up with God and they say they believe in God, and then they suddenly say, you know, I'm just convinced that there's no God. I'm just completely convinced. I feel like this is why I brought the question up. They have a concept of God. They were given that. Not saying they have full belief, but they know that there is this being. They have it, well, maybe they don't. I think that once you have it in your mind that there is this idea of God, it is very difficult to get rid of it. And I'm thinking that most times people are angry at God.
That's right. Yeah, that's
as
anger.
they
When
get
you say, I don't believe there is God. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I say, is it, I mean, I might bring this point up to my Guru Maharaj, because once the idea of God is planted in you, you might go every which way to try to avoid it or to say it doesn't exist. I don't think you can get rid of it once you have this idea of God. I don't know, that's just me, but I could be very wrong here.
Actually, we may not completely ignore the idea of God and that He exists, but the circumstances in life, because Maya is so strong, she can cover us up to an extent that we really do not benefit from that concept that is in our heart. You see my point?
Yes, Maya.
Yeah, because we may know that there is God, but if we do not have an active relationship with Him, He is passive somewhere in the background, because the sinful activities that we have accumulated are so thick that we cannot feel His presence. Then what's the benefit? That's why the association of devotees and the knowledge from the disciplic succession is so meaningful, because irrespective of whatever setbacks we face in life, if we are connected with the association of devotees and hearing from a bona fide source, it helps us process those setbacks. It helps us see them also as mercy of God. And it's not like just we are using those words, mercy of God. We feel it in our heart. We feel the loving presence of Krishna and his devotees in our life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to say something? Linda Mataji, would you like to say anything? Okay, Mataji. Thank you all for your very nice association. Thank you for reading. And thank you for reading Srimad Bhagavatam together. It makes it so much more fun and interesting, and it brings regularity in reading because of all of your association. And also thanks to Manasi Ganga Mataji, who takes the time to send out a schedule each week and research all the lectures that we could hear about these topics. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Lila Manjari Mataji, from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Keeping my, spiritual, I don't know how to, explain. So my sadhana, study, and thank you for welcoming, welcome me back. So thank you so much, Govardhan Lila Mataji, Manasi Ganga Mataji, Premarasa Mataji, everybody. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, we have a big group, Shanti Mataji. We also have.
Pray for me. yeah, pray for me so I could be, join every day.
Yes, Mataji.
I could join
Yeah,
every day. I could join every day, I mean to say, yeah. I could join every day.
Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
can all be, yes, thank you, Shanti Mataji. We can all be so grateful to Srila Prabhupada because
Yes.
if all these texts were in Sanskrit, which is a language which almost no one speaks nowadays, we probably wouldn't understand anything. And even if we were to understand the translations without his purpose, we probably would not have understood very much of what's being said. So it's all Prabhupada's mercy that's coming into our life. Srila Prabhupada, Jai Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.